Okay, it says I'm here. I don't actually know if I'm here until my existence is validated. According to all the magical wizardry flashing lights, microphone should be working, camera should be working. Somebody let me know. Can you see me? Can you hear me? We're going to assume that you can, even though we know what happens when you assume. Hi, I'm Kayla Lords. This is Loving BDSM, where we help kinksters like you have happy, healthy power exchange relationships. This is our weekly live stream while we record our audio podcast. The audio version goes out on all major podcast apps every Friday. I keep saying we. It's not the royal we. It's not me and my personalities. Normally, JB is here. If you are new here, that is my dominant partner, and he's not here today. We'll talk about it. I won't say he's fine, because if he was fine, he'd be here, but this is weird. I haven't done anything like this since 2015, 2016, and almost never on camera, so everybody buckle up for a wild ride. I am burning up hot. I am waiting for Lola the dog to bark/howl to let me know she needs to go back inside, because just beyond me that you can't see is a door. She's gnawing on a bone, sniffing grass. I don't know. I'm going to keep saying we because I've been saying we for so long. I'll talk about where JB is when I bring podcast folks in. This would normally be the butt rub section, but this is mostly, look at this. Wow. Wow. I'm so sorry. This part, instead of being a butt rub section, apparently is watch Kayla be a big crybaby, is me acclimating. I am not acting like it, but he is fine. Oh, goodness. And yes, we are going to do this, because once I get into the topic, I'll be fine. He really is fine. I'm acting like he's, mortally wounded or something, and he's not. He's really not. Nor did we break up, because, no. Y'all would feel that explosion from around the world if that ever happened. Okay. Sorry, y'all. This is just new and scary. And stupid. I should not be scared. It's y'all. And I feel really bad for anybody new. Wow, I don't usually cry. I usually don't. If you think we're better together, feel free to pass this one. It's okay. It's gonna be chaotic in a different way. If you're commenting at me in chat, I can't see. Glasses are off. I did my eye makeup and everything. I never wanted to be one of those YouTubers who just cries on camera. Oh my god. Oh my god, y'all. And anybody who's thinking, you shouldn't have done this today if this was going to be how you are, you're right. But also I needed to do this. So, oh my gosh. Sorry, y'all. I'm going to get my shit together. I promise. Sorry, y'all. I've been needing to cry for, a couple days at least. And I haven't. And apparently now was the time my brain went, this is a good time. Well, people are watching you. And will you edit this out of the video portion later? No, of course not, because we don't do that here. Oh, sorry, y'all. Okay. Putting the glasses back on so I can see anything. Sorry. I did my makeup and everything. Some bullshit. You can't see on the table today, which is kind of weird. But I am double fisting it. I have a little bit of my coffee left over and water because my throat was starting to hurt. I hadn't even started talking yet. Hoping I remember to actually speak directly into the mic since I don't have the other half to pick up. Where I leave off and all that good stuff. Okay. So I do want to say hi to y'all. I have missed y'all. There are many reasons why I'm here today, even though clearly maybe I'm not in a state to be here. Okay, I'm gonna try. It's bleary and these glasses and progressives and don't get old. Okay, hi Blown Juice. Hi Silent Wing. I'm sorry you're feeling yucky. Silent Wing. And yes, I am close because I didn't want the wide shot if I had to be by myself. I was like, Give me from the boobs up, which is where I would prefer to film if we could, but that would be a very crowded shot, and we can't. So if I have to do this by myself, we're going to be eye to eye. If you've got me on a 50, 55, or 60-inch screen, please don't tell me about my pores. I don't want to know. Hi, Name Twin JB. Hi, Giga. Hi, Little Miss. Hi, Computer King. Hi, Candace. Hi, Manda. Hi, Puppy. Hi, Tayshu. Hi, My My. Or is it My My? Did I say that right? Tell me if I'm fucking up your name, please. I'm scrolling. I'm so sorry. I cried on everybody. Hi, Junie. Hi, Kitty. And Tayshu, you're right. With the podcast being audio, nobody has to know. And they won't get to hear this part of the crying because I haven't turned on that part yet because I made JB walk me through, like, what are the buttons? What do I have to do? Hi, Missy. I'm going to try and follow our schedule, but we're just going to be laid back. It's just me. I got to be JB right now in many things, and this one is one of them. So I'm not, like, I'm going to try and start at noon, and it is noon our time, and yay, I said it right. Great, my. And I really I'm really interested in today's topic. It was not on my list. It was not on my original plan. I don't know what I'm doing to my face and what this is going to look like. Look, if my concealer, foundation, blush, or mascara starts to streak, just don't anybody tell me. Let me be embarrassed later when I watch this back. To do timestamps, which I will do timestamps. I promise. Hi, X. I think Lola is howling, so pardon me for a second. Lola, you want to come in, baby? Okay, come on. Okay, are you staying in here with me? Okay. Okay, I think I'm watching. Does Lola want to go be where her daddy is? Or does she want to stay in here with me? Hold that thought one more time. Lola, do you want to go in the other room with your daddy? Do you want to go in the other room with your daddy? Oh, goodness. Okay, coming, y'all. Okay, when given the option, she would prefer to be with JB, and quite frankly, I don't mind. I feel the same way. When given the chance, I would like to be with him too. He is sleeping on the couch right now. Whew. Okay, so here we are on YouTube. Hi. Topic for today are different forms of intimacy. We have talked about intimacy in the past. Link to that in the places. I'll probably say that again when I bring the podcast folk in. This one is sort of an addition to that original conversation. So that's what we're talking about. Let's see. What are words? I don't know. I feel weird asking for a like if my blubbering did not just scare you away. I don't usually cry. If you're new here, I don't usually cry. I'm more likely to drop an F-bomb than a tear. Anyway, but, you know, we like likes. If you haven't already, and I haven't fully scared you off and terrified you, please feel free to subscribe. And in honor of JB, who would say it if he were here to say it, if you subscribe, ring the notification bell. Hopefully YouTube will actually notify you when we've got new stuff up. Actually have an idea for something. I've had this idea for years. Somebody help me remember. I'll tell you later in the bonus section. Because I'll probably forget. The squirrel brain is on fire right now. We also have different ways you can support the work we do. Part of the reason I'm here is this is our work. This is between Loving BDSM and JB's shop and some of the other little things I do. This is our job. This is how we pay our mortgage. And so I'm here at work, partly because I get through shit by working. So there's also that. So you have a couple different ways you can support the work we do. If you want to help us keep doing it and get extra perks and all that good stuff, you can join us on Patreon. There's a lot of good stuff there, including a Discord server. We have membership turned on here in YouTube. And we're doing some exclusive content. October is now completely up in the air because of what's going on with JB. But it's like a live stream watch party kind of thing one time a month, and then like a fun video one time a month. That's $4.99 a month. You get a badge, emoji, stuff like that. There's a super chats here in live chat. There's just sharing our stuff if you don't have money, but you're like, but I like what you do and I like to support you. Tell your kinky friends about us. That always helps. If you want cool stuff in your actual hands, thekinkery.com. That's JB's shop. We look like we're on a hamster wheel right now trying to keep up with everything, but we are still doing it because it's work. It's what we do. So yeah, that's all the stuff. And I know what I would normally say now, but I have to push the magic button. So I'm going to try and push the magic button without unpushing other magic buttons that are important. Okay, here we go. If I have forgotten anything that I normally say, it's that kind of week. I'll probably remember later. Okay, I'm supposed to hit this button right here for podcast. Okay, I hit the right button, and it's probably going to be chaotic today. It's just the nature of the beast. I'm by myself. I have not been by myself since I was in the closet in 2015. Somebody who's OG who remembers talk to me in whatever format. When did I stop doing this by myself? I'm way out of practice. So I do want to kind of say why I'm by myself, and I waited till had live stream folk, video YouTube folk, and podcast folk all together. I've mentioned this in a couple of updates, but otherwise I've been pretty quiet just because we've just head down trying to get through stuff. So JB's had chronic back problems since he was in his 30s. Okay, so that's a long time ago because he's 61. Yeah. And it flares up every once in a while. Anybody with a chronic condition probably can understand that. You think you're doing everything right, or you know you did something wrong, and you're going to aggravate your thing, and his back got aggravated really bad right after Hurricane Ian. It was bad enough that we've now been to see 4 different doctors with different levels of help or not help. They're doing the best they can. He's doing the best he can. It's one of those things, every time he starts to think, well, maybe it's starting to feel better, it doesn't. Yesterday, he felt really good. He went to the 4th doctor, was a chiropractor. If anybody has strong opinions against chiropractors, I do not want to hear it, okay? This is something that he's got decades of experience with. We've done our research. This is the way we go. And so he felt really good after seeing the chiropractor, and then today he's just worn down. He is better than he was at the worst of it. The worst of it, if anybody knows pain scales, I don't know if they do something different in other countries, but at least in the US, 0 to 10 or 1 to 10. At his worst, he was at a 10. And it's the only time I've ever seen him cry from pain. My daddy is a weepy man. His emotions are right there on the surface, and I love that about him. Also, I sometimes tease him about that. What are words? But this was different. This was bad. Obviously, I'm taking care of him as best I can. His big thing right now is to rest when he can, try to find comfortable positions. Sitting, standing, laying down, walking, it's all comfortable until it isn't, with varying degrees of where he's at with recovering. TENS unit's been put into commission. Heating pad. He doesn't really like using ice, even though we might have to start trying that because of the home kind of solutions. That's the only thing we haven't done. Medications, muscle relaxers, blah, blah, all the things. This is something he's dealt with, like I said, for so long. This is just a really bad flare up. It's the longest it's ever lasted since I've known him. He is stressed. I am stressed. So that's where he is. If he's able to be back next week, great. If he's not, I will be my sad little whatever I am today back. Awkward pause here. I'm so used to like one of us filling a gap for the other that I'm like, oh, well, there's my gap. Oh, JB's not here. Whew. So we can kind of get into some of how we've both been doing if you want when we get to the bonus section, but I really want to actually get into the topic because it was really cool to me when I came across this. So we're talking about different forms of intimacy. And one, we've done the conversation on intimacy in DS back in 2018. Links to that previous episode in the places for wherever you're watching or listening. If you don't remember it, or if you want to, listen for the first time, watch it for the first time. And then a few weeks ago, time is not real. Doesn't even exist. We were in an episode, either it was the Q&A episode or it was the Reddit reaction episode. And we got into a little side conversation about intimacy. And I said that I thought that any kind of, whether DS or top bottom relationship, however casual and temporary, up to however long-term and serious, air quote that word because that means something different for all of us, could have some level of intimacy. And I think some people really didn't like me saying that. I don't think all levels of intimacy are equal. I think the intimacy you experience with a long-term partner where you just kind of know one another and there's a huge level of comfort and you can talk to one another with your eyes, what the other one's thinking, that's a different level of intimacy than you might find in a one-off casual pickup play scene. Sure, but I think that all of these things are some forms of intimacy. And so then just scrolling through the Instagram like I do, and I came across a post on Instagram that I then followed back to the original person, because I do this too over at the Kinkery. You find a thing and then you repost it, and but then the original credit gets wiped after a while. Well, I found it. And it's actually from a relationship therapist named Dr. Elizabeth Fedrick. I have also linked specifically to this post in the places if you want to see this for yourself. It's basically a graphic of the types of intimacy that can be found in a relationship, and that she says that require effort and attention. And so in the time-honored tradition of kinky people perverting things, I thought we could pervert her resource for our kinky nefarious means, and talk about this through the lens of kink and power exchange. Y'all know me. Most of this will probably focus on power exchange, but some of these things, I was looking at them and I went, yes, that's where intimacy can definitely be in casual kink play, right? It can be found in all these different ways. So she actually breaks this down into different topics, categories, what are words? I don't know. And I'm kind of going to go through them. Am I going to go into crazy in depth? I don't mean to, I don't intend to. When I was deciding, I thought we should do this topic. I didn't originally mean to do it if JB had been here with me, because I knew he wouldn't be able to sit for very long. So we might be going through these kind of fast, but some of the things gave me thoughts and I thought I would share this with you. So types of intimacy, I'm going to start with the top two that I think most of us think about when it comes to any relationship. But again, we're talking about power exchange and kink relationships. So there's physical. Let me back up. The other thing I wanted to say about this, see, you got to watch me. The other thing I wanted to say about this is I'm hoping that anybody, because I'm in this position myself right now, who's starting to feel like maybe there's a lack of intimacy in your relationship, that's an overall decent relationship. It's a good relationship that you want to continue, but your normal, air quote that, normal typical forms of intimacy are lacking for whatever reason. Chronic health conditions, illness, life stressors, whatever, that by talking about these different types and forms of intimacy that can be found in a relationship, that it will help you recognize other ways that you are intimate, or think of new ways to find intimacy that don't fully replace the other forms of intimacy, but that can be another option when you can't do all the things you really want to do. So let me try this again. We're going to go with the different categories. So the first one is the most obvious, and that's physical. So her examples are cuddling, hand holding, nurturing touch, sensual foreplay, sex. And of course we can add kink scenes, BDSM, whatever your form of fetish or kink might be, that there's some physical aspect to it, right? So it is very intimate for JB and I to have an impact play scene. And the intimacy is the same and yet different, whether it's like a super serious, we're like really focused on our dynamic and the power differential kind of scene, or one of those where I'm giggling like the baby girl that I am, and he's laughing in his sadistic way. And it's all different types of intimacy that I think most of us are just most familiar with. When anybody thinks about intimacy, depending on how, you know, how your relationships go and how you relate to other people and how you want to interact with friends, partners, whatever, you know, the way you think of the physical side will vary. But I know a lot of us long-term folks who at least want to have sex with our partners and want to have kink scenes. That's kind of what we're thinking of. For us right now, obviously the kink, the sex, all of that it's just way down at the bottom of the list. It's not even possible right now. He does still do my nighttime, get into bed, swats on the ass kind of thing, which is very nice. What we've relied on lately, I've done this for him because I know he's told me before, when I like just put my hand on him, one of his love languages is physical touch. It is not one of mine. I got a personal bubble rule. I want to be touched when I want to be touched, and outside of that, I just don't, please. He's one of the few exceptions, him and like hugging my kids or whatever. But in an effort to sometimes soothe him or to help him relax, or just because I want to feel connected to him, I will run my hand across his back because I know he really likes that. I know that it makes him feel good. He tends to relax and kind of lean into it. And it's funny because the first time I did it in a long time, it was when all this back stuff started up again, this flare up he's got. We don't have good words for it yet. Flare up, we'll go with that. And I was like, well, maybe if I can do something soothing. I knew it wouldn't take away his pain, but I was like, maybe it'll make him feel temporarily kind of better than he does, whatever. Because I know he responds to physical touch. And he did tell me later that it felt really good. And really at the time I was in a submissive frame of mind. That was a service. That was it wasn't I want to be close to him. I want to touch him. I want to be intimate. It was, I think this might help him in some way. And I think sometimes for some of us, we do things maybe as an act of care, whether submissive or dominant, and it becomes an intimate thing even if we're not seeing it that way in the moment, right? That was a point of connection for us. When I think of intimacy, I think of connection. I know not everybody defines it that way or thinks of it that way, but that's kind of how I look at it. Because when I tried to look up definitions of intimacy, they were like closeness. Well, okay. That can mean everything and nothing all at once. So I go with connection. To the physical sides of that, I think we all know. And I also think that kink as an intimate act between casual people who maybe just met, it's still there, but it's not the same kind of intimacy as people who've known each other for a long time, negotiated power exchange, people who've seen a lot together, people who have history together. Because as you'll see as we go through these different categories, they can all start combining and mixing and intertwining. And I would almost say that the more different types of intimacies intertwine, the closer the connection, the deeper the intimacy. So not all intimacies are created equal, but yeah, I think that yes, when you're, letting a person that maybe you just met like 10 minutes ago spank your ass in the middle of a dungeon, there's a level of intimacy there, because we would not go up to just anybody on the street and go, here's a paddle, I'm going to bend over, would you beat my ass? There's going to be the negotiation of not just the words we're saying to one another to figure out if this is a scene we want to do, but how am I feeling about this? Am I getting a good vibe? Do I feel like I would be willing to let this person do this to me for all kinds of reasons? Like, is it because I've watched them scene before? Is it because I just need the play and I'll take whoever's willing to do it? Is it a vibe? Like, whatever. But that scene, no matter how casual, has a layer of intimacy to it, is my point. Let's see. The next one that is also, I think, top of most people's list when it comes to intimacy is emotional. There's empathy, there's respect, there's validation. There's our 3 favorite, we talk about all the time: communication, trust, and vulnerability. Yes, 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 yes. If communication is where you struggle with intimacy with any partner that you're actually trying to be intimate with, then our big recommendation is always the book Tongue Tied by Stella Harris. I will link to it in the places, YouTube folks. I don't think I have it down there in the description box just yet, but I'll get it there. But it's also under resources on our site, lovingbdsm.net, if you want to go there. Or you could just like Google the name of the book, and there you go, you'll find it. Tongue Tied by Stella Harris is still our favorite book on communication. It actually does not spend a lot of time on kink. It talks about other types of, communication in general when it comes to relationships and sex. All of that applies to kink. The one chapter on kink is specific, but it all applies. So I think we all know this. When I can be vulnerable with a person and they are safe to be vulnerable with, then an intimacy builds between us. Again, is it enhanced by the existing relationship that I might have, or the relationship I'm trying to build that's beyond this casual moment? Yeah. But I've also had conversations with near strangers, which is rare for me, but the introvert who loves to get into a deep, meaningful conversation and doesn't like chit chat, right? That can be a level of intimacy where you walk away feeling like you kind of know somebody, right? Like, you don't know them, you know that you're not like in their head, you're not part of their life, you don't know much about them beyond that one conversation. But again, it goes back to the word I like to use to define intimacy, which is a connection. You connected for a minute because you talked about something that meant something to the people involved in the conversation, and in that moment that was a level of intimacy formed. It might be short-lived. Also, when you have those little moments of intimacy between people, casual or relationship, long-term relationships, when you come back together, assuming there's been no like crazy thing that happened or conflict or whatever, then you kind of already come to one another with a knowing of each other, like this safe ground where you had this moment of connection, and you sometimes start from that place again. I have found, as somebody with high social anxiety, that if I had a good conversation with you like at this munch, when we come back to the next munch and I see you, I'm a lot more comfortable. I'm ready to say hi. We might not get into another deep, meaningful conversation, but I feel like I know you. Why? Because we connected and it was a level of intimacy, right? Respect as an intimacy, I think for most of us that's easier or more obvious. I don't even know if easier are more obvious from the submissive perspective. Dominance. Yes, you should respect your submissive partners. Tops, you should respect your bottom partners, and your partner's bottoms, quite frankly. But that is a mutual thing, and I think that if you don't respect the other person for whatever your reasons are, I feel like that's an indication that there's not really a relationship there, whether it's platonic or sexual or long-term or romantic or whatever. Like, respect is bottom line. Now, respect does have to be earned, but some level of respect I think we should all start with until somebody proves that they're not worthy of that respect. But there are certainly too many doms, and some tops, but mostly like air quote doms, who think that they deserve to receive all of the respect, but not to give it. Those people to me are walking red flags. I choose to, the word is, lower myself is not the right word, right? I choose to submit. I choose to serve. I choose to follow. But it's not because somebody has a title and they've called themselves a dominant, right? It's because they've shown themselves to be a person worthy of that, and so therefore they have earned my respect for it, right? You can demand respect, but you're not getting it. The title is not what is worthy of respect. It's the person behind it, right? It's what you're doing. It's your values. It's all of that. But these forms of intimacy, I think most of us would go, yeah, obviously that's definitely a big part of intimacy in any form of relationship. if we go back to the casual side of things and finding intimacy in not long-term relationships or not romantic or loving relationships, those kind, or platonics, like friendship, relationships based on friendship are, to me, some of them no more or less loving than a married couple, right? I have some friends that when I think about how much I love them, it runs nearly as deep as it does for JB. But when I think on the more casual side, you've just met somebody, you're just playing for the first time, you're maybe newly negotiating some kind of power exchange. Communication and trust, I think we all kind of understand that needs to be there, and those are forms of intimacy. Vulnerability, we've talked about on the show before, and I think it's the hardest one, but it is certainly most important. As long as you remember that not everybody deserves your vulnerability. But empathy, validation, respect, the things that kind of say, I see you. I see you and I honor what I see. Or, I see you and I don't like what I see, so I'm going to remove myself. Like, that's a self-respect thing. But there's something to that. Like, if I can be to me, vulnerability is putting my naked ass in front of a near stranger's face and going, yeah, you can hit that. That's a moment of vulnerability. That's a moment of intimacy. Hope I haven't gone completely off the rails as we talk about this. Okay, so next topic, and this is the one that gave me the light bulb moment of, yes, all kinds of things that we do in interactions with all kinds of people, but specifically kink, power exchange. This was the category that I went, oh yeah, there's intimacy there. And it's called experiential. It's the stuff you do, right? So the very first one was shared experiences. The shared experience of a kink scene, there's an intimacy there. There's a knowing. Somebody else in the live chat said familiarity. Exactly. Thank you. By the way, words are hard today. If it was a good experience, one that you enjoyed enough you might want to repeat later, or when you just walked away from going, yeah, that was good, that when you see them again, when you come across them again, there's a little bit of a connection. Is it the kind of connection where you run up to them and put your arms around their neck and hang off them and go, oh my God, maybe not. But it's a knowing of the other, right? That's a shared intimacy. Let's come out of kink a little bit. I was thinking about this. There are intimate connections, intimacies, I should say, with shared experiences. I was thinking about, and I can't think of a specific moment, but I've had enough of these in my life that it came to mind. Have you ever been in a kind of a semi-public place? Like, you're in line at the grocery store, you're sitting in a waiting room at a doctor's office, you're somewhere where some portion of the public is there, but it's not a wide open space. And somebody comes through, or something happens that catches the attention of most of the people in that space, and you and one, maybe two, but definitely one other person have a similar reaction. It's humor, it's what the fuck, it's OMG, that Karen needs to get out of here, right? And you just catch that person's eye, and you kind of share a knowing look. You don't know each other. You've never had a conversation, but you just both sat here, watched that, and you're looking at each other going, I think that's bullshit too. That is a shared experience intimacy. It's a light level. It does not rise to the level of the intimacy you share with a partner. It does not rise to the level of the intimacy you share with somebody you negotiated pickup play with in the dungeon. Of course it doesn't. But we have these kinds of little fleeting moments of connection that I would consider small intimacies. If I saw that person out in public again, I might not talk to them, but I'd be like, I remember them. They get my humor. They thought that thing was bullshit too. They thought that thing was funny too. It's that familiarity again. So experiential types of intimacies. There's the shared experiences. There's the trying new things. Hi, kink folks. You want to add some intimacy back into your relationships? Go explore something together, right? There's your routines. You know how I love routines. Consistency, adventures, spontaneity. Okay, so I'm probably not going to be down for spontaneity. It spikes my anxiety. I'm not interested. Thanks. Adventures, see, also spontaneity, probably not. The rest of it, absolutely. As an example, that was both kinky and not kinky. We're at the chiropractor's yesterday, day before recording, Tuesday. JB's in for the evaluation. the doctor takes the Wartenberg wheel, runs up both of his legs with it to test. She's using it for its actual, like, medical purpose, the reason it was invented, to test, sensation and see what he can feel and, if there's any parts that, whatever. And I'm looking at it going, yeah, I know what the fuck that thing is. But I didn't say anything because, we're out in public. She puts it down. She has to leave the room to go get, like, a heating pad or something. And he says something, I don't remember what, and I went, well, now you know what the Wartenberg wheel feels like, too. And he kind of went, girl, y'all know how he does. And then we started giggling together. So that's a very layered type of intimacy. Like, there's the shared experience of both the kinky activity. There's the shared experience of sitting here knowing we both watched the seemingly vanilla person, I don't know her, she might be kinky, use a Wartenberg wheel, and the giggles we get of knowing that she used it on the one person between us who would definitely not like it. Also, as a side note that kind of goes with that, in the midst of all these doctor's appointments JB's had to go on, he's looked forward to them in the, maybe they can help me, I would like some relief. But also he said quite clearly, he goes, I absolutely hate to be out of control and can't stand pain. And I'm literally going to people asking for both. And I went, yes, we know you're a sadistic dom. There's a shorter way to say that. I know you don't like to be out of control and you don't like anybody administering pain to you. I'm aware. I'm so aware. So that was a few days ago. And then when I watched this Wartenberg wheel used on him, she came back in and I'm pretty sure she did not know why we were giggling. That's the way intimacies get layered. Like, the longer you're with somebody or the more experiences you have together, the more you know that person and you have that history, then intimate moments creep in all the time. But every new thing we try together, whether it's business, but mostly when it's like kink, or when we're trying to do a parenting thing, we are close because of that. We're close in the struggle to learn it. We're close in the questions we ask, figuring it out, reassuring each other, hey, this will be okay if it's not great the first time, or hey, I know you're nervous, tell me when you want to stop. Like, those kinds of things all build intimacies upon intimacies. And so for anybody who's like, there's no intimacy in my relationship anymore, the shared experiences and trying new things, definitely top ones I would recommend. But if you think about it, if you have either routines, or as I heard, and I loved this because it was from somebody who has ADHD and kind of like talks about that, like on their account or whatever, they talked about patterns. They said routines don't work for their brain because they might not want to do that exact thing at that exact time, or not even be able to do that exact thing at that exact time. But patterns of, you do this thing and then that thing and then this thing, and it's kind of an order to it, but the time doesn't matter. So routines or patterns, however works best for your brain, those have an intimacy to them. A case in point, this has all been going on with JB for almost 2 weeks now. We're getting close to the 2-week mark. When he comes to bed at night and is actually able to like lay in the bed, I still bend over. The bed and I wait for him to swat my butt. And he swats my butt to the best of his ability. He rubs my butt, because please do, if my butt is in front of you, that is me asking you to rub it. Not you, the you that I might be willing to y'all know what I mean. Anyway, and it's this really quiet moment. It might last a second. It might last 10 seconds. It has not lasted more than 30 seconds in almost 2 weeks. But it's this moment to just go, yeah, this is us. This is a reminder that this is us. That's an intimacy, but that's part of our routine, and it's something that we're fairly consistent with. I am sad today. I am not wearing my collar. Why am I not wearing my collar? Because he was sleeping on the couch when I woke up, and I was not going to wake him up. And it was a very hectic morning of juggling appointments and kids and where's this one and what am I doing? We had a lot of stuff to do, and I needed to get out the door really fast, and he woke up like 10-15 minutes before I left, and there wasn't time. And then when I came home, kind of the same thing. He was sort of awake, but he was about to go to sleep because he's snatching sleep where he can, and there just wasn't time. And I don't put it on myself. One, it's awkward. Two, no, that's not part of our routine. But I'm very consciously aware that I'm not wearing it. Yes, it makes me a little bit sad, but I also will feel the meaning of it and that 10 seconds of intimacy when he puts it back on. And that intimacy can look like a lot of things. I think for some people, they think it has to be this super serious, oh my gosh, we're being really intimate now thing. It can be. I mean, I have those moments too. With my collar normally, so he takes it off at night because I can't sleep in it. Oh, it's sensory thing, anxiety thing, just don't worry about it. Anyway, so he takes it off at night. It sits on the top of our dresser, which in our room is almost directly underneath the ceiling fan. So by the time I wake up in the morning, it's cold. Now, some mornings I'm like, thank you for the cold. Perimenopause ain't no joke. I'm hot. This is great. But some mornings I'll walk to him to bring it to him to put it on me, and I'll have it in my hand to try and warm up the chain before it goes around my neck. And whether I get it warmed up or it's really cold and I jump, when he puts it on me, almost every morning, he'll look directly into my eyes to watch my reaction. So yes, the putting on of the collar is a beautiful moment, and it's part of our power exchange. But the intimacy is waiting for, am I going to jump because it's super cold? Or did I, air quote this word, win by making it warm enough so that it just goes on like it's no big deal? And that's part consistency and part routine and part shared experience. And then just, the knowing one another, that having been vulnerable, having communicated, just being with one another kind of level of intimacy. And you don't think of those things as intimate. What are words? You don't think of those things in that way necessarily until, one, you have a reason to, like we're talking about it today. And so I would encourage folks to think about things that they could define for themselves as intimate, even if they wouldn't normally call it that, or when you're missing it. Like when I think about what I'm missing, I'm not missing the collar on my neck, even though it is, something I normally touch and reach for, and it's like usually there. I'm missing that moment when he puts it on. I'm missing that moment when he takes it off. That's what I'm missing. We will get back there. He just has to get better. Okay, so let's go to. But when I saw experiential as a category of intimacies, I was like, yes, I am not incorrect in thinking that even casual kink encounters absolutely have levels of intimacy to them, simply by this definition of experiential. On the other side of that, if you're missing intimacy in your relationship as you normally define it, look elsewhere and maybe look at what you're already doing, that it's really easy to get caught up in, well, we always do it that way, so I don't think about it. It's like it's on autopilot. It's the downside to relationships going on autopilot. That's how you get into ruts. You're not aware of what you're doing anymore. And that's natural. That's normal. That happens to us all the time. When I start missing things, when it gets a little difficult, when the routine is thrown off, then I'm very aware of what I'm missing. And I can think about how those things feel intimate to me, if that helps. Another form of intimacy, this is one I kind of was talking about earlier, when as an introvert I can get into a deep, meaningful conversation, that's intellectual. So deep conversations, mental stimulation, opinions and beliefs, I would imagine sharing them. Introspection, my favorite. Creativity and curiosity. So you can do this with each other. You can do this with other people, and there's the layers of intimacy will be different. Deep conversations are my favorite. Okay. Right. I think it's neck and neck with introspection. Like which one would be number one? Which one would be number two? I don't know. I don't want to get into deep conversations with everybody. Not interested. I want to have deep conversations with JB. I don't think of it as another form of intimacy, but it is how I learn how he thinks, and I learn his reactions, and I learn about him. And so later, whether that's a day later or it's 10 years later, we can look across the room at one another and talk to each other with our eyes, and we know why. We've had so many deep conversations. We know how the other one thinks. We know how the other one feels about things. Deep conversations are the shit. Okay, I fucking love them. I feel like I know somebody after a deep conversation. For me, I'm not into the idea of, let's say, a casual encounter with somebody in a kink scene. You're probably never going to see me doing casual pickup play, because if I don't feel like I know you on some level, I don't want to show you my ass. Thanks. But could I get into a deep conversation with somebody and have that sense of connection, and then feel like I have a sense of at least part of their vibe and go, yeah, we could do something together. Yeah, the few times we've done semi-casual things years ago, y'all, years a fucking ago, it wasn't because they were my best friend. It wasn't because I was in love with them. It was because I'd had enough conversations with them that there was that level of intimacy, and then I was willing to share another level of intimacy. And was JB there the whole time? Yes, that did help. For me, that definitely helps. But that is part of it. Mental stimulation, that can mean so many things. That can mean whatever you want it to mean. I'm not gonna try to define it. I can only think of what it means to me, really. And mental stimulation takes so many forms with JB and myself. It's the way he mind fucks me. He definitely keeps me on my toes. I'd like to think that the act of mind fucking me is mental stimulation for him. It's the way we make each other laugh. It's the way he teases. Like, sometimes there have been times I've had to go, okay, the teasing's too much. I can't handle it. My baby girl side is like not enjoying this right now. My feelings are hurt. But I'm safe to tell him that. Like, we have that relationship and I know he'll listen to me, so I can say that to him. But those kinds of things, like, get me thinking, get me wondering, what is he thinking? And I feel my brain feels more alive after that. Like, it feels like it's firing on all cylinders after stuff like that. But it can be other things. Mental stimulation it can be learning something new together. Go back to the experiential. It can be having philosophical conversations. It's like whatever, like, gets your mind working and going and firing. There's your mental stimulation. Opinions and beliefs. This one's tricky in the world we live in. There are certain opinions and beliefs that I wish I didn't know about people. I'd like them better, but also I'm like, oh, I'm kind of glad I know that about you, because I'm going to keep you way over there. Thanks. There's certain opinions and beliefs that are going to turn off intimacy, and depending on which side of your line and divide, they're going to make you push away. When you're sharing opinions and beliefs, I think even when you don't agree, but in a way that you can talk about them, that those opinions and beliefs are not marginalizing, othering, or endangering other human beings. Let's put the line there, right? We're talking about, this is how I feel about cheese. This is how I feel about the color purple. This is how I feel about trees. Like, I don't know. Those kinds of things that are not actively opinions about how people should treat other human beings. Like, there's got to be a line in the sand there somewhere. That's a way of getting to know somebody. We've talked about this a lot. When JB and I first met and we were long distance, we would play 20 questions. I'd be on a lunch break. I'd be bored. I'd want to talk to him, but we didn't really have a topic of conversation. So we played 20 questions, and I'd ask him all kinds of stuff, and he'd ask questions back. And sometimes it would be factual stuff, and sometimes we would get into, this is what we believe. If you have people in your life, intimate partners, people you're just trying to get to know, and you can have conversations about opposing beliefs in a way that does not devolve into fighting, yelling, wanting to walk away and never look at the other person again. Those can be very intimate moments. One of my closest friends, she died in 2017. She and I were diametrically opposed on certain topics. Religion being one, abortion being another. She was the only person I've met so far in my life. I could have conversations about those things. We could come from opposite viewpoints. And when we were done, we were still friends. We still respected one another. We understood each other a little bit better. I think I shifted her thinking on a few things. Not completely. Not completely. But we could have those conversations. And it made us closer friends. That is not possible with everybody. And sometimes you want to know somebody's opinions and beliefs so you can check them off your list and go, yeah, you stay over there. I'm not interested in creating intimacies with you. When we're not talking about those, we're talking about more benign opinions and beliefs, right? It's just another way to get to know somebody. Is it treacherous ground in the world we live in now? Maybe a little bit. I'm very glad I'm not out there in the dating world. Thank you very much. But yeah, that absolutely is a form of intimacy. Knowing what somebody thinks about something. It's how JB and I can literally talk from across the room without actually physically speaking, I'll just look at him, he'll look at me, we know what the other's thinking, because we've had these intimate moments of learning each other's opinions and beliefs. Now, that doesn't mean things can't change, and we are aware that if our opinion or our thoughts change on something, we better communicate them, because the other one will be working off of assumptions after all this time. But yeah, and when we talk about how we've changed our thinking on something, it creates another layer of intimacy. Introspection, y'all know how I feel about that one. I think everybody should just be a touch more introspective than they are. If you are just not the introspective type, I would beg you to give it 30 seconds every third week of the month. You might learn something. If you are introspective like me, I will say what I have learned over time is that it's possible to be too introspective. There's a line there. Creativity, curiosity, I would definitely say that those are intimate moments. JB and I have learned how to physically make things together. We have a bond because of that. Like, we can go out into one part of his shop or another, and we know what could go wrong. We know what could go right. We know how we fucked up last time. We're laughing. We're talking about these things together. It's a shared experience, which goes back to experiential. But because we decided to allow ourselves to be creative and think creatively, and we did it together, it's just another layer of intimacy. Curiosity, same thing. The last one, at first when I read it, I went, I have nothing to say about this. And then I read further and I do. Last type of intimacy, spiritual. Your inner worlds, which mine are vast and varied, and I make JB tired sometimes sharing my inner world. There's prayer and meditation, if you're into that. There's faith, if you're into that. Higher power, values, morals, and ethics. Now, morals and ethics and your values and opinions and beliefs, I think there's a lot of overlap. We got a big old Venn diagram, because our opinions and beliefs can inform our morals, our ethics, our values. Our morals, ethics, and values inform our opinions and beliefs. So there's a lot of crossover there. Yes, part of the reason JB and I work so well together is because our morals, ethics, values are fairly aligned. In places where maybe at one point they wouldn't have been aligned, we have learned from one another and we've come further into alignment. We don't completely agree on absolutely everything, but we agree on the big stuff, right? Like, we align there, therefore we can be more intimate with one another, therefore the trust grows, and then this whole circle of all these types of intimacies work. Now, do I think you have to know every moral value and ethic, let's say, of a casual kink partner? Not necessarily. You have to know enough of their morals, ethics, and values to know that they will, or to believe that they will, stop when you say forward. They will honor the agreement that you've made. They won't like pull anything shady in the middle of the scene or after the scene, right? Like, there's got to be enough there that you think, yeah, this person's probably okay. They'll probably do what they say they will. But then we get into deeper relationships, longer term relationships, and it becomes, there's more depth there, right? And sometimes you're not compatible because your ethics, morals, and values are not compatible. It's a layer of intimacy you can't get to. Now, some people don't care about that layer of intimacy for certain types of relationships, and that's okay. I do. I don't need to know that somebody thinks exactly like I do. I learn a lot more from people who see the world differently than I do from people who see it the same way. But if I say something like, trans kids should get access to medical care that they need, I don't want to be with somebody who thinks they're going to debate that with me. If I say something like, there's so many things I could say, like, yes, kids, say gay in Florida, please. This don't say gay bill is fucking bullshit here in our state. I don't want to be more intimate with the person who will fight me on that. Like, I'm just not interested. Go be intimate with somebody who agrees with you. Like, again, it's lines in the sand, right? I want to be with somebody who thinks that lies of omission are still lies, and so tries to avoid them, doesn't want to lie to me even out of omission, who is very careful with the white lies because white lies lead to bigger lies. Like, that's a value I have. That's a moral, that's an ethic. Those are like the ways I see the world and what I think are right. That's who I'm going to be most compatible with. That's where I can have a shared intimacy. It's complicated. Because I don't have much to say about faith or higher power or prayer meditation, I did specifically for kink want to share some resources. For anybody who's interested in that specifically for kink, I will link to it in the places. One is Sacred Kink by Lee Harrington. Have not read that one. Okay. I've heard about it. Heard it's very good from people who have read it. I have not read it. The one that JB and I both read was Spirits of Desire, also by Lee Harrington. That is different stories, essays from people's specific perspectives of sacred kink, the idea of a spirituality to their kink life and world and how they see it. So on that level of intimacy, because I really don't have anything to say there, thanks. If that is something that you are interested in exploring, just look up Lee Harrington if you're not where you can get to the link right now. But I will link to that for anybody who's interested. I won't say trouble, because the person would have to rise to a different level of intimacy for it to be in trouble. But I did get lectured recently about some off-the-cuff comments I made about how I feel about religion and my experience with religion, and they were very disappointed in me. And I kind of went, I don't care. But I also know that is a touchy subject for folks. That will also be a place where I probably won't have shared intimacies with folks. Religion is very often very off-putting for me. Kind of grateful that JB's not really interested. Higher power idea, yeah, we kind of both agree on that, but it's not a thing that we've spent a lot of time talking about to create those shared intimacies, other than the fact that we kind of agree on how we see what, if any, higher power there might be out there. So those are, holy shit, those are all the different forms of intimacy from this one graphic. As a recap, we've got emotional and physical intimacy, the ones most of us are very familiar with. Then there's experiential, intellectual, and spiritual. I love intellectual intimacies. I feel like I know somebody, and then of course it's very disappointing when you find out you didn't really know them. You just had one shared experience that happened to be a good conversation. Also, do you see how I talk about these things and they overlap? There you go. So yes, I think all of the encounters we can have in a kink life that are meaningful to us on some level, have a level of intimacy to them, from fleeting and very surface level to deep, meaningful, like life-changing, soul-bending intimacies. And for anybody, I just hit my cup. For anybody in any kind of kink relationship who feels a lack of intimacy, maybe it's because life circumstances, and maybe it's something else going on, maybe, use this resource to see if there's other types of intimacy that you're already experiencing that you just haven't been thinking of that way. A bit of a mind shift can sometimes help. Or if there's new forms of intimacy you have not fully explored that could allow you to feel connected. Because that's the thing. The times I feel disconnected from JB, are the times that the intimacies, the daily, small, like just going through our life ones, and then the big ones, when I feel like those are missing. That's when I'll look at him and go, I don't feel like we're connected right now. And I hate that feeling. I hate feeling disconnected to him. So even when I know, like, sometimes it just has to be that way, it's just the nature of things, I still don't like it. So that's types of intimacy, forms of intimacy, ways of thinking about intimacy. Look, did I say everything there was to say on intimacy? No, I had to do that. We're at 50% today, y'all. We did not have JB's input and his perspective. And yes, you're right, that sucks. Other people will have their own thoughts on intimacy, and that's good. You should. I think it's like kink. I think it's like power exchange. I think it's like anything in this world that we experience as human beings. We get to kind of define it for ourselves. We get to decide what of it is important and what isn't, what we call intimacy and what we reject for ourselves as intimacy. Intimacy is not a zero-sum game, y'all. When you give a little bit of intimacy to that random person who also thought that Karen at the counter was bullshit, and y'all shared a look in the middle of the waiting room, well, fuck this person, right? That intimacy does not take away from the intimacy you have with your partner. Just like being intimate, and however you define it, with your partner does not mean you cannot find intimacy in other people and other connections you may make. Again, at all levels of what, intimacy might mean to you. So, Okay, so I think that's all I have to say about that. So glad I stopped crying, podcast listeners. You'll be very happy to know you missed the part where I sobbed before we got into anything. So here we go. I have to do the thing and I have to write the numbers because I have to pretend to be JB. I'm going to tell y'all right now that has fucking sucked. So this is the end of the official episode. Yes, we'll do a bonus section because I'll tell you, I think there were some things I was going to tell you and I've probably already forgotten what they are. So hopefully somebody will remind me. So yeah, we're done on this topic for this week. One of us at least will be back next week. If not, something has gone terribly wrong. And so yeah, I guess I'm supposed to say, keep it kinky, y'all, and we'll see you next week. And then I had to write down the number like JB, and I don't have anybody to ask. Can I talk to the crickets? I just, get to talk to y'all, which is how that goes and what I've been doing, and so it doesn't feel like there's really a separation and what even is happening around here. Also, with all of that talking, I didn't drink either of the 2 drinks I have here with me. Did I leave enough silence for JB? He will let me know that I did not leave enough silence for him and I just scooted right along for him, but we'll find out. Yeah, podcast listeners, be grateful you're listening. You're not watching the live stream or the video. Did I cry the first 10 minutes? Yes, I did. But as I knew that would happen, once I got into my topic and started sharing the things I was thinking, I calmed the fuck down. So I am feeling a bit better now. I don't feel as adrift as I did. Ooh, the tears are still there. Okay, we're going to try and keep those at bay. And thank you to GCNX for giving me permission to talk to the crickets. You see, I did not wait for you, but that's okay. I appreciate the permission to talk to the crickets. So Silent Winged reminded me that the idea that I've had for a long time that I've never acted on, that I said I would mention in the bonus section. So let's start there. It's more of a YouTube thing, but maybe it could be a podcast thing. I don't know. I talk to myself a lot. I don't think anybody who knows anything about people is surprised by this. The fact that I can talk this much kind of unprompted with no script for as long as this episode has even been, y'all know I can talk. I got thoughts, I got opinions. I spend a lot of time talking to myself. And sometimes I'm talking through things. I'm trying to figure out what I think. And sometimes I just need somebody to talk to. It's too quiet. Anyway, I have often, and I've mentioned this before, thought about doing videos talking about different aspects of my life, but it's all through a submissive lens, and just talking about things, not big topics like this, but just let me tell you what's been on my mind, maybe in the YouTube format, a get ready with me, let's just talk about something that's on my mind, in a not quite a vloggy thing, because I don't want to film lots of b-roll. I'm not interested in that, but just hear these little tidbits that aren't a full topic. They're just, these are the things I'm thinking right now. That feeling came on real strong today when I thought about how I was going to have to do this, where it's just me again after all these years. Not a fan. And I was working through some things that I was thinking about in terms of how I'm feeling right now with everything going on with JB, and how what's going on with JB is about JB, but I've had my own kind of effects of it, which are, I don't want to minimize my own feelings, but that's why you shouldn't really compare. But if I'm comparing what I'm going through to what JB's going through, he's certainly got it worse, right? But anybody who's ever had to be the caregiver to somebody else who's in pain or ill or whatever, you go through your own stuff, right? So and I've been thinking about that through what it means to be a submissive, and just wanting to kind of talk about that, but not in a formal topic where it would normally be JB and myself. I even thought of calling it the Submissive Chronicles, but it wouldn't be a thing where, what value would it add? It maybe just an extra perspective for anybody who thinks that they're alone with how they're feeling about stuff. But also, I still have that voice in my head from childhood that says you just talk to hear yourself speak. Nobody gives a fuck. That's the thing I'm working through. Clearly, I'm working through it, because can I talk for an hour almost uninterrupted? Well, I interrupt myself, but you know what I mean. Yes, I can. So That was my idea. Will I act on it? I don't know. It's in times like these where I'm stressed and uncertain that to not become too introspective and focus all on what's going wrong and how things are like stressful and feeling awful and terrible, I tend to focus outward and I start working. Lots and lots of projects I've started have been in times of high stress. And I just wanted to not think about the stressful thing. The problem is the stress usually does reduce itself, and then there you are with more projects. No time. So, yeah. That was the idea that I had. Will I act on it? I don't know. I am not the Hank Green of anything, or the female Hank Green, but Hank Green, and I relate to Hank Green very well. If you don't know Hank Green, author of Vlogbrother, like creator of 10 million things. I've never once yet been as successful as Hank Green on anything, but I relate to the idea of having way more ideas than you will ever have time in life to try all the ideas, and not every idea is a good one. So yeah. So I can't remember everything I said about JB at the beginning, other than his back is flaring up. So I hope I'm not repeating myself, but I probably am. I'm a repeater if you're new here. I'm also not taking a sip of my coffee. Hold on. Okay, better. He's been kind of up and down. Like I said, multiple doctors, multiple treatments. It's a flare up. I think I've decided on that one for what to call this. It has messed with both our heads. Work still has to happen. Taking care of kids still has to happen. Taking care of the house still has to happen. Sometimes I forget how integrated our lives are into each other, and how I depend on him for so many decisions and so many, like, here's when we're going to do this thing, because now I've got like a list of hanging things of, okay, do I just decide? Do I try and wait for a day when he feels better? I'm also very conscious of the fact that I don't want him to have one day of feeling better and thinking he's better, and then he overdoes it because he had that one day that he felt better, and then he's like back down a few notches of like feeling awful. So trying to find that balance. I'm tired. I am not gonna cry again. Holy shit, we're not bookending this fucking episode with tears. I worry about him. Of course I do. He briefly once or twice mentioned, what if this is my new normal? And I partly did the optimist thing of, well, we don't know that, and it probably isn't, and whatever. And then I did the pragmatic thing of, well, if it is, then we'll figure it out, because we've figured everything out so far over 10 years of knowing one another. We will figure this out. Is he coming in? The door's opening. No, he just somebody let the dog in. I thought JB was coming. Lola's like, did I really want to be in here? I don't know. We will figure it out. I'm just tired. I think that's where a lot of my emotions are coming from. I'm just tired. I don't try very hard not to burden him with that, because I know from my own perspective, and I know from talking to people, when you're the one going through the pain and the suffering and the angst and the worry and the flare up and the condition, it can be too much to hear about how other people feel about it. And the focus right now is on him. But damn, I'm tired. Hopefully it's temporary. I can't let myself go down the mental road right now of, is this the new normal? It is the worst flare he's ever had. It's the longest lasting. He said it's the worst one he's had since his back problems began 25 plus years ago. It's the worst one I've ever experienced with him. I hate seeing him in pain and misery. Whew. Damn it, I didn't mean to cry again. Shit. Anybody tell tell the new folks I don't do this. uh, I'm here, keeping things going as best I can. Enjoying staying busy, like to stay focused, also overwhelmed with it. I had this moment, was talking to the 13-year-old the other day, and I was like, I don't know why I felt like that was a moment to say this thing to him. It was kind of unprompted. I hope I didn't traumatize him. I don't think I did, but I was like, I'm almost being reminded of what it was like to be a single parent. Not because JB's not present. When he's awake and he's able to think clearly, he is present and he's participating as best he can. But I forgot what it's like to be responsible for the bulk, for all of it. And hell, that was when they were little and couldn't help me. Kids now, I'm like, you do this and you do that, and I'm going to go do this, and we are going to conquer and divide the shit that needs to get done around this house. But part of what gets me through, I lean into the fact that I'm a service submissive, and I know this is what I was built for, right? Like the ultimate in taking care of the people you love. So yeah. In other completely relevant, but also let's do a 180 from this. The Kinkery, that is JB and myself, will be at the Woodshed in Orlando on November 19th. They're bringing back their kinky, what do they call it? Kinky something extravaganza. It's an afternoon where you can get into the Woodshed at no charge. You don't have to be a member. And there's different vendors like JB and I for the Kinkery who sell fuckery. And the last time they did this was pre-COVID, and we have a blast every time we've done it. I think we've done it. They had done it twice, and we did it twice. I can't remember, but we filled out the form and they accepted us, and we get to go, and it's very exciting. I think that's a little bit where some of the stress is coming from, because we're preparing for holiday season when lots of people are shopping, and also a market with product to have enough to like hopefully entice kinksters to shop there too. And so it's really, really exciting. And I know poor JB, when he's loose, it'll be like, I can't believe this fucking thing is happening with my back right now. I need to be working. So that is very exciting. So I don't know if anybody remembers way back in like 2019, the last time. We'll be talking about it like nearly every week. Because if you are in Florida close enough to easily get to Orlando, or if you often travel to Florida and Orlando, hello, I know Disney World is here. November 19th, the Woodshed. It's a good opportunity. If you've never been to a dungeon and going to the idea of going to the dungeon like freaks you out a little bit and you're like, not my thing. It's a good time to go, because one, there's no charge to get in. Two, all the lights are up. It doesn't even quite look like its normal self, because there's tables where there's usually PlayStations. And we are quintessentially us. I know how JB is. Even if we're finding out our new normal with his back, he will have me bring him there and prop him the fuck up. He will be there. So when we did it last time, we had several people who came who, listened to the show or whatever, watched the show. I have to say watch now because of the YouTube side. And just to say hi. And we don't expect anybody to shop from us. If you go to this to just come say hi to us, it's not us angling for a sale as well. It's like, just come say hi. So yeah, we're very excited. November 19th. We will be in Orlando. I'm sure there's other things. I keep drawing blanks. But I think that's normal. That's probably normal for me. I can't even blame it on everything going on the past couple weeks. Can't. Would like to. Can't. That's normal for me. I would love to stay here and keep talking, because I feel more myself. Even though these damn tears. Fucking shit. Anyway, but I need to go because there's stuff to be done, and a kid to pick up from school, and errands to run, and blah, blah, blah. Y'all know how it is. So I'm going to go. Thanks for being here for whatever the hell this was. I really hope the topic was meaningful or helpful or whatever. I am, I'm always grateful for y'all. JB is too. Shit. Even more so right now. We're gonna be fine. It's not tragic. Just my damn emotions. They are right at the surface. I probably need a nap or a spanking or both. Probably a snack too. So I'm gonna go. Love y'all. Thanks for being here, especially to the bitter end. And if you made it through me crying once or twice, you're fucking amazing. So that's it for me. One or both of us will be back next week. Bye, y'all.